Good morning.
You want to sit down?
Good morning, everyone. Together with RUTA and Trevor, we would have a pleasure to get this discussion a little bit more on next level of granularity, if I can say. Because indeed, what two gentlemen were focusing on was more on leadership. We would be focusing more on how you develop your GBS platform to make all that possible, or to create indeed that space for yourself and for your people to develop. With opening remark that it's good to hear also that some people at PwC, especially, they also developed a lot in the last 15, 20 years. I think once I was starting the Phillips Center back 20 years ago, our value for the business and for the employees was that we were doing GL. And at that time, some senior advisors from PwC said, yeah, you are very brave. No one is going to do that. 10 years back, it was more on FP&A. It was more on high-level accounting. And today, well, you will see, it's completely different. We are talking about the multi-process, multi-domain GBSs and how to get there. And I think with this, I would ask my colleagues, RUTA first, to say a little bit how to do it on the large scale, and Trevor, how to do it on the mid scale, and I will close with how to do it with the units on small scale.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah. Is it working? Yeah, do you hear me? It seems no. Yeah, now it's yes. Yeah. Good. Hello, everyone. My name is RUTA JASIULIONIENE. I'm representing the SEB. SEB Global Service Centers in Lithuania and Latvia. We are located in VILNIUS and RIGA. I have been working with the centers and have started, as HR, and here Romek with the colleague talked a lot about the people. So this is something which for me it's very close to my skin, and that I can only confirm how it's important, to take in consideration in the whole development of the your center and your unit, really the people. But I will show short journey about how we develop, and most probably we at the end a bit take, what might be the key enablers, right, to move from one to multiple.
Key trends, key enablers, yeah, and key tips that we have for you today.
So short our story in short. Do we have the slides on? Okay, so I saw that it's... Yeah. Good. So from 100 to 2,700 today, 17 years serving 20 countries, and from banking operations, that were the first our processes we have centralized or start to move to multifunctional, and of course this is where you see the listed the biggest areas, but there are some another many of the smaller areas, yeah, I would say that operations now, if they were the pioneers, so now it's around 75% of the entire SEB group banking operations are centralized and settled in Vilnius and Riga. And with the development, and I'm usually, emphasize that it's not the numbers actually which represents the development of the organization. It's about how we are moving and evolving through the value. And obviously, when we do have or settle the one function and start with one function, and you see that for some almost 5 of the years we had the one function, so that means we focused, how to work with that area in order to make it more efficient to the whole organization. And that is obviously, this is function-centric approach. But it's not only about the numbers, it's about how adding the different areas, you start to think as organization how to deliver the service. And already at some time, it appears this end-to-end approach, and of course at the end this value centering. This is exactly what we already have to touch, in the first our discussion. Another angle, I would say that, and this is within my most probably this, tips and tricks on what we went through the journey. It's really important how you position. And here I'm not talking about the only external, right, audience, external, the market. It's really very important how you are positioning and how organization is positioning your service center within organization. And we had a very interesting, journey here, because when we were in operations, we were like operation center. And to be honest, even now I am hearing time to time, the people who were in this journey, we would call, VOC and ROC, Vilnius Operations Center and Riga Operations Center. And that is absolutely fine from the area perspective. This is how it should be. But if we would like to emphasize on the center of the, larger scale perspective, then we have to think about how to position. So from the operations center to shared service center and finally to global service center. And very, very like principles, high-level principles, how our organization operates, and I believe we will touch that later. We're running with an integrated business delivery, and we are global process area-driven organization, business process area-driven organization. But that doesn't mean that it's full decentralization is there. I would call that we are most probably in the middle, in a centralized approach where we have the GBS team, if I could call it this, the project team, who with close cooperation with the stakeholders develops agenda and talks together how those areas can be hosted and supported in the locations. And then of course another things which maybe it's only for our organization, but this branding as such, we have the strong brands and strong our units, business units in the Baltics. So from our perspective, it was really very important, not to contradict or somehow, not to have the two brands in the market, but at the same time, really to specify to the certain target audience communication and our identity service centers for the entire group and group function. Yeah, and maybe I will hand over now to you just, to skip that one, because those are the things which I put most probably to myself when thinking about that. So what has been, evolved through this, going from one to multifunctional?
We'll come back to that in the discussion.
Then we will come, but those are the, tips from my side.
Thank you, RUTA. Good morning. So my name's Trevor Hanbury. I'm representing AMERISOURCE BERGEN. We have a large and growing shared service center in VILNIUS. This is probably about the fourth time I've been to this event, and everybody here is super polite. So whenever I'm talking to people, I say I'm Trevor from AMERISOURCE BERGEN, and they smile sweetly, and you can see the cogs going, and they're like, AMERISOURCE who? So forgive me, I'm going to take a second just to tell you the company, and then I'll fit in a little with what we are. So AMERISOURCE BERGEN are a healthcare company. We're primarily a healthcare logistics and healthcare distribution company. We're probably one of the biggest companies you've never heard of. We're number 10 on the Fortune 500. We're the 21st biggest company in the world by revenue. In 2022, our revenue was 238 billion. But there are numbers. More importantly, as a healthcare company, what do we do? So during the pandemic, we've moved around 100 million COVID vaccines. So I think there's a reasonable portion of people in this room that their COVID vaccines would have been delivered by AMERISOURCE BERGEN. Thank you. I am glad there's no vaccine anti-vaxxers at that point. We deliver healthcare to over 209,000 locations around the world. We do animal health as well as human health. On an annual basis, we are responsible for the treatment of 3.2 billion people. The word cure is also in our name. They're primarily clinical trial logistics. We're currently involved in 33,000 or have supported 33,000 clinical trials. And then cell and gene is some of the more advanced parts of healthcare that's being developed today. So at least, hopefully, now you've got an idea of AMERISOURCE BERGEN. And after it taking me 4 years to tell you about AMERISOURCE BERGEN, now we're going to change our name. So if you see me next year and I'm saying I'm Trevor from Cencora, we will be Cencora in the future. So we are, we have been, and probably still are, GBS naive, and we're still catching up on where certainly RUTA is. Many of you are in this room. But our backstory, so we started in Lithuania in 2018. So we wanted to open our healthcare logistics business in Lithuania, and there was an opportunity to put some finance staff there. And fitting in with some of the points that Ramak and Ash meant before, that was purely done for salary arbitrage. Now, the key thing from this slide is we've moved from the first thing that people talk about being salary arbitrage. Is it cheaper than doing it in New York or in Dallas or Philadelphia or London? Service enhancement is what's made us grow to 390. So people no longer talk to me about, is it cheaper? They talk to me, I've got some really great staff in Lithuania. And that's what's led our journey. So now you see we've gone from transport operations and finance to multiple functions. And on the GBS naive, I think being primarily an American business, although growing in Europe, we were geographically naive. So on the left-hand side, and this is not my advert, I just hasten to add, this is a Lithuanian advert, but I think it fits in with Ramak's point about passion, maybe, I don't know. So as I talked about Lithuania, the number of people like, I have no idea where Lithuania is. Is that somewhere in Central America? Is it in Asia? So most of my presentations on Lithuania have a map of Europe to say, absolutely.
But I see some people, just, shocked about this commercial, but I can only assure that this is official one. It's not like, you brought about how you imagine, but that it was official one for the Lithuania was developed by, Lithuanian Tourism Agency.
And so we've developed from not knowing where Lithuania is to, on the right-hand side, that's the chairman and CEO of AMERISOURCE BERGEN, Steve Collis, who, after I presented the business case, I found out his grandparents used to live in Lithuania, so that helped. Meeting with the president of Lithuania at the United Nations in New York. So we've truly shifted the mindset in terms of Lithuania. And then Krystian, do you want me to talk about this now or come back? Okay. So how have we done that? So again, I'm showing my age, but some of you may recall a Kevin Costner film about build a field and they will come. So we were GBS naive, and I said, no, this is the right thing for us to do. Lots of smart companies are doing it. We built a facility for 200 people in Lithuania. And as a result of that, people have come. The best salespeople for Lithuania, it's not me saying Lithuania's great, oh, it's really amazing. As we bring people to Lithuania and they see the local staff that we have, the team members, they sell the value of Lithuania. They show their smartness. They show their passion for the business. We've certainly leveraged local support. Invest Lithuania have been a huge support for us. There's lots of people in this room, in the GBS community in Lithuania, that have helped us grow. We were, as I say, GBS naive, but they've been kind enough to allow us to visit, share their great ideas. Branding. So again, nobody knows who AMERISOURCE BERGEN is. So it was important for us to establish what we do. We're a healthcare company. We're creating healthier futures. And then build that brand within Lithuania. Educate the executives. You need people that are going to sponsor you to help move you on that journey. And as we've moved functions, we've hypercared. So the last thing I want is we move a new function, oh no, it's terrible. They work different hours, there's a time zone difference, They have different holidays to what we do. So we've spent lots of time trying to make those people who are brave enough to move their functions are very happy with the service that they're getting. And the final point is marketing the success stories. So we've been very strong on saying, look, this team have moved, these are the values, these are the improvements that they're making, and these are the quality of the staff that we've recruited. Now I'll pass you on to Krystian.
Yes, thank you, Trevor. Just to conclude from a different angle, my name is Krystian Bestry. I'm representing Adaptive Solutions and Advisory Group. Couple of years on the market, but actually this perspective is a little bit like reflecting myself on the development of the consultancy that is primarily supporting GBS across the years, looking what you were looking for, what you were searching for, what you were actually how your GBSs were growing and maturing, and indeed important note, Tom is speeding me up. Important now is, what did you look at? What were your GBS functions we could help with across the last 5-8 years? As you can see, initially everyone was just about the setting up, about feasibility. What is my business case? How I can do it cheaper? What would be my strategy in terms of the scope of the centers? If you look from that strategic perspective, along the, let's say, 3 to 5 years back, we started to think about, okay, let's make it excellent. Service excellence framework, let's make it automated. Let's make some assessments on automations, try to find where we can deliver value. We as GBSs. Let's look at the benchmarks. That's how we, Adaptive, developed our offering. And the last 2-3 years, we are talking about reassessment of your process maturity. How are you doing with your processes? How, what else you can transform? It's about constant outsourcing, insourcing strategies. What it makes sense for me to offshore, what it makes sense for me to actually bring back to the captive. A little bit the same from the middle layer perspective, so transformation or execution of projects. Yeah, 5 years back, 7 years back, we are talking about making good project managers, developing them, document our processes, standardize them, and transition them successfully. 3 to 5 years back, we started to say, hey, let's develop our team leads, let's develop our managers, but also let's implement different automation solutions, the ones we mapped in the meantime. And today, everything about constant change. Change management, managing cultures, managing expectations, and also managing the little bit of objectives of some stakeholders. And finally, on granular level, on operations level, focus of 5 years back was just to have resources, was just to have good operational support set up. 3-4 years back, we focused on global process owners. Let's make the process again managed one way or the other. And today it's more about digital workforce, different commercially interesting models for the excellence in automation. And now moving from that into very quick discussion on the let's say takeaways. What would you recommend for the people from the perspective of Trevor? You had a very bottom-up approach. Your people are, or your service catalog is sold by your Lithuanian colleagues and by yourself to the business. RUTA, you had more like bottom-up, top-down approach, where you got the mandate to push. So what would you advise, or what would you say, yeah, was difficult, I would do it differently?
Maybe I can quickly start. I somehow reflected, and I think that we both having something in the middle. Since to my view, it's not possible to run single strategy locally if there is no, the settled guidelines and the support, on the level which actually in fact owns, you know, the business which is in our GBSs. And absolutely that one function success, one area success leads to potential to scale up into multifunctions. So I would say that it's, you know, this beginning, every majority of us go through, right? And I think that from our side, it was really a good lesson learned, really to, for some time, the short time, to focus on one function in order later on to scale up and to share this, you know, knowledge with the rest of the areas and facilitate this journey. This is short.
So one strong function generates the opportunities for others. Also in terms of talent, management, people,
well,
and moving them across the functions?
Yeah, this is something which is absolutely limited when you have the one function. You can develop the competence, the professional competence, but what it means, you know, a bit broader, this end-to-end process like competence. Yes, you are limited with the one function or with one area. This is why, you know, then another functions brought, you know, more opportunities and I would say the capabilities to develop cross talents. But one thing which is I as well want to mention, when you have the several functions, obviously one of the areas kind of, you know, feeding up the other areas. So really, you know, at least we are constantly trying to calibrate and to deal with, first of all, understanding that it will be so. It will be so that in some areas it will be always, you know, more starting positions which will, you know, will move further on within the area. And on the other hand, it's very, very important not to create the competence, you know, internally, because it's very easy to do that when you know, one way move happening. So I would say this is what needs to pay attention on.
I think from our side, there are pros and cons in terms of, Krystian described it as a bottom-up. So we haven't forced anybody to come to Lithuania. It's purely been a sales pitch. Now, if we'd mandated people come to Lithuania, we'd have probably grown faster. But I think the way we've done it, we've grown because the reputation of one function spreads to other functions, and people say, I want to move to Lithuania because you're getting such great talent. I think the other thing is, as we grow and we put more functions in Lithuania, that attrition level, so the ability to keep staff, so Romix, keeping him awake at night in terms of the number of people that are leaving, that helps, that we have other functions. There's opportunity for people to move and progress rather than saying, okay, I've got as far as I can in AMERISOURCE BERGEN, I'm going to look to go somewhere else.
Good. I think we have the final 2 minutes. So if anybody wants to drop a question, just raise your hand. We'll accommodate it. If just in the meantime, I'm putting the slide showing you a little bit your answers. We have interviewed 200 GBSs across the last couple of years. Across last year. With the intention who is doing what, who migrated what, and who plans to do so in the future. But just as like for your reflection.
Hi, thank you very much. Really, both very interesting stories. I'm really interested to know what do your host companies consider as value? Because I'm sure if I asked you, what do you focus on value creation. What does value mean to your, not to you, but does it mean to the people that you report to?
For us, it is that ability to do things better than we were doing previously. So I'm now going to go against what Romek and Noah were saying. We do have a lot of KPIs. We are comparing those KPIs for what we do in Lithuania versus what we might be doing in the US or the UK or Germany, and it's seeing that improvement, but not just purely the KPI, but the extra value add around the side, the looking for solutions, looking to improve things. So that's what's driving our growth and building such a strong reputation for Lithuania.
Yeah, and from our case, it's most probably it's a bit similar. So I would say this centralization, which leads to way higher potential to automate and to be efficient, and of course this quality level for the serving, you know, the providing the services and serving the clients. That is where you have in centralized and one way. And from many countries, which we have, you know, 20 countries, when you bits of pieces centralizing some processes, it's naturally, it's more efficient, you know, to, and I would say more potential to really to initiate the changes which is needed. So I would say faster change management which is needed for the processes for the organization.
Good. I think with that we can conclude. Tom is not allowing us to spend more time over here, so we invite you for some of more discussions during the breaks. We are there for you.
Thank you guys. Thank you all very, very much. Krystian.